Hello, winners. This is Coach BU coming to you live tonight to share a great deal about when did busy become your badge of honor. This is what we're talking about tonight. We're going to trade in the chaos of our world with some clarity. And we are going to get right into the topic because there is so much to uncover when we look at crushing overwhelm. We have used this whole badge of honor of being busy and having so much to do, and people say this to me all the time: Brenda, you're always so busy. I hate to ever bother you. Well, this is the thing. I am busy doing relationship. Anything that involves relationship, building others, helping others grow, heal, and thrive, that's what I'm actively involved in. But that does not mean that I'm too busy for other people. It doesn't mean that I'm too busy for priorities. It doesn't mean that. What it means is that I prioritize my time with my priorities. And so we've talked about that a lot, but I want you guys to really think about this. How many times have you used busy as your badge of honor? Tonight, we're about to say goodbye to that. Tonight, we're going to get into a season where we begin to tame overwhelm so that we can have balance as the reality of our lives. And so many of you guys may say, what does overwhelm have to do with work-life balance? Well, let me tell you, overwhelm is often a silent saboteur of work-life balance. It doesn't just make you feel stressed. Overwhelm puts this pressure on you, like you've got the weight of the world on your shoulders and you have so many things to do. I got to get the kids here. I got to get the husband taken care of here. I've got to make sure this is ready for the job. I got a proposal and a speaking engagement and my side hustle. And I've got all these things that, it's all going in your head like a tornado, creating this stress that hampers your ability to make good decisions. It hampers your ability to really manage your time. It steals and depletes your energy. It undermines your role in life in the different areas that you live, as a wife, as a leader in corporation, as a mother, as a teen mom, if your kids are into sports. It is a huge saboteur to your life, and it limits your creativity and your joy. And so when we get in and we begin to tackle overwhelm, then we begin to take our power back. We begin to take our balance back. We begin to say, you know what? I'm not going to wear this badge of honor called busy. I'm going to create a life that actually helps me live in balance so that I can crush overwhelm, so I can crush my goals, so I can operate in the abundance that God died for me to have. Anybody want to say an amen to that? I want to see you operate in abundance. I don't want to see you struggling. I don't want to see you barely making ends meet. When you get control of your time and you start to solve problems with your time, you will start to create profits in your business. You will begin to create wealth in your career. You will begin to move forward in areas of life that you never thought you could move forward before. Anybody out there want to move forward in some areas of life without some overwhelm? Let me give you a Bible verse, because I am very big on all of the tools that I provide to clients and to prospects having a biblical standard, a biblical scripture to stand on. And so the biblical scripture that I'd like to give you guys today is Proverbs 10:22. And bear with me, I'm trying to make sure that I'm going live on Instagram. Instagram always wants to give me a little hairy, it always gives me a little bit of work to do whenever I do these lives. Instagram is always going to be the one that's going to give me a hiccup. So hopefully I'm going live on Instagram and all other places. With that being said, the scripture is Proverbs 10:22. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, and he adds no trouble to it. The blessing of the Lord brings wealth, and he adds no trouble to it. Now, with that being said, we have to look at what trouble can we get into with life overall. What trouble can we get into with going after wealth? Oftentimes, when we are going after wealth, we get imbalanced. We will put the husband on hold, we put family on hold, we put God priorities on hold just so that we can go after the bag, right? Everybody talks about going after the bag. And I don't think there's anything wrong with going after the bag, because Deuteronomy 8:18 says, remember the Lord thy God who gives you the ability to produce wealth, and by doing so confirms his covenant as it is to your forefathers today. So that transcends through the cross to the present time. So when we look at Proverbs 10:22, and he's saying that in Proverbs, he's saying that God adds wealth and he adds no trouble to it. That means that we can be Proverbs 31 women. We can be the wife. We can be in the boardroom. We can be the mother. We can be the entrepreneur. We can have it all with balance. But in order to have that balance, you're going to need to have some strategies to it. You're going to need to have God on your side, because there's a way to get wealth that will create an imbalance in your life. And I'm going to call that the badge of busy. We need to take the badge of busy off, because we need to create time in our schedule for us to be able to create. And let me tell you, these are the two things that are necessary in order for you to create. I lost my glasses. There we go. In order for you to be creative, in order for you to come up with ideas that are brand new and out of the box, then you are going to need to create time. That means that you need to set an amount of time in your work week where you are not bombarded with meetings, you're not bombarded with things to do, that you create time in your work week where you can do deep work, where you can do creative work, because creativity needs time and it needs peace. You need to be in a calm state. Sometimes, like before I even did this live, I don't know why I was so nervous about this live today, but I literally got up and I walked my building. I got in 250 steps and I listened to a video that really charged me up and made me feel confident, so I can get in here and I can get it done for you guys. Sometimes we need to change our physical state so that we can change our emotional state, so that we can gain the clarity we need for us to do the deep work that is going to move the needle forward in our lives. Anybody want to move the needle forward? Hey, we've got some people in here in the chat. Hey, Antoinette, I'm so glad you're here joining us. Splash VR. Hey, good boy. Well, I'm not a boy, I'm a girl, but hey, how you doing? And we have the real POVs. Hey, honey. Hey, honey. How you doing? I'm so glad you're here. If you have any questions, please feel free to put any questions that you may have in the chat so that we can answer those questions for you live. Now, let's get into this. So we know that overwhelm is a silent saboteur to work-life balance. It makes you feel stressed. It depletes your energy. It distorts your decision making. And so let's deal with the triggers first. I just want to go down. The first thing that I said I was going to work with you guys on was helping you identify the triggers for overwhelm. So let's just dig into that. And let me tell you right now, I can already tell you this is going to be a 1-hour steak dinner. And then I'm going to have to come back with a part 2 next week, because when I have a whole weekend and I've just been chewing on a subject, I have more information than I could give away in 1 hour. And I'm telling you, I love for these Tuesday night 7:30s to be steak dinners for you guys to really walk away with tools that you can apply that can reduce your overwhelm so that you can start living in balance. And all of this is at no charge. This is just my value add, my give back to you. So let's talk about the triggers. The triggers. Hey, oh, Nicole Gray, I'm so glad you're here. She's joining me from LinkedIn. I was concerned if my LinkedIn was going live. I'm so glad that LinkedIn is live. Welcome, Nicole, and I appreciate you being here. So let's talk about the triggers. One of the biggest triggers is saying yes to everything. We talked about that in our last live. If you didn't catch that live, you can always go to my YouTube channel, Breakthrough with Brenda, and you can catch that live. It's the @ at Coach BU. If you put that in YouTube, my show is going to come up and you're going to see all of my previous lives. And last week, we talked about the power of no without guilt. And so, one of the main triggers to overwhelm is taking on too many responsibilities, saying yes to too many things, and not counting the cost. I like to take this little tip from John Maxwell. And John Maxwell says, if you think it's going to take you 2 hours to get a project done, give yourself 4 hours. Why? Because pop up things are going to pop into your head that you're going to think about. Oh, I need to do this. Oh man, I didn't even think about this element. When you get into doing a deep work, ideas are going to start to flow. Now let me tell you my trick of the trade when it comes to me getting ready to do something and ideas start flowing. I have what is called a master to-do list. So one of the things that are going to cause internal conflict for you when you struggle with overwhelm is you feel like, and you have this expectation that your to-do list should be completed every day. And so I want someone to write this in the chat for me. My to-do list is not going to be completed every day, but my priority list can be completed every day. Why do I say your to-do list is never going to be completed every day? Think about it. When you get one thing done off your to-do list, do you not have a couple of more things to add to it? So when we begin to look at too many commitments and too many things on our plate, what we need to think about is, are we really managing our to-do list? Are we managing our priorities? You're going to hear me say this over and over again, manage your priorities. So I have what is called a master to-do list. I have it in this little book, and it's called What Would Life Be If We Had the Courage to Attempt Anything? What would your life look like if you had the courage to attempt anything? I'm telling you, when we get over the fear of failure, we get over the fear of the unknown and get over the fear of inadequacy and rejection, honey, the world is your oyster. You can have whatever you want. So I have a master to-do list. So when I'm working on a project, I just jot down my to-dos. I jot them all down because I understand my to-do list is not going to be done every day. The only people who don't have a to-do list are dead people. So we know that we're going to have a to-do list that is ongoing, never ending. You signed the kids up for baseball, and now all of a sudden you've got to be at the concession stand every other week. You checked off, I got my kids involved in an extracurricular activity. Now you add on, now I got to do volunteer work for that activity. I got to be at the concession stand at least 2 events a quarter. So you took something off and you added something on. That's why I constantly tell people, get rid of the expectation that your to-do list is going to be done, because I can clean my house. Now, if you got kids, this is really your story. I can clean my house on Friday, and by Monday, I still got trash I need to take out, and I just emptied those trash cans. So we need to be realistic with ourselves when we're looking at our to-do list. Make a master to-do list and make it something that you can carry around. I carry this big book everywhere I go because it also contains areas where I have where when I go out to restaurants, I often will read a book. And so I will jot down things from a book that I've read. I'll jot down new ideas, new breakthrough tools that God is giving me to use in my business. And so this becomes what I like to call some people my master ideal list. So I have a lot of ideas. I'm an innovator. I'm an entrepreneur. So I have a lot of things that are always cooking in my brain. So I get it all out of my head and onto paper because that relieves the mental stress. Remember, we're going to talk about mental habits to make you mentally strong. The reason why the body likes habits is because it likes routine, because it reserves energy. Habits and routine reserve energy. We don't have to think about what to do every time. We don't have to create the wheel anew every time. And that releases stress off of our bodies when we dump it onto a piece of paper. So we're talking about the trigger of too many commitments. Learn how to say no with no explanation, with no guilt. Right? The other thing is setting unrealistic deadlines for yourselves. We talked about that. If you think it's going to take you 2 hours, give yourself 4 hours. Then if you get it done in 3 hours, you're not stressed out. But then if you get it done in 3 hours, you may be able to take an hour and go read a magazine. Take a phone call from a girlfriend who needs a prayer partner. because she's going through something. It gives you grace within your day that you don't schedule every single moment of your day. That is stressing you out, okay? It is an external trigger for overwhelm. And when you have overwhelm is the number one trigger for procrastination. But this isn't about procrastination. This is about work-life balance. So I will take my master to-do list, and at night, before I get ready to go to bed, I determine I'll look over my to-do list and I'll say, okay, what are the 3 things that I'm going to pull off of my master to-do list and I'm going to make a priority for the next day. And I try to knock those 3 things out as fast as possible first thing in the morning. When you do that, and so for me, as you guys all know, I love this. You can't really see it. It's called a high performance planner by Brenda Bouchard, where I literally will jot out what are my main to-dos for the day. Those are my priorities for the day. So every day I'm taking 3 items off of my master to-do list and putting it onto my priority list and getting it done first thing in the morning. That gives me a sense of accomplishment. That gives me a sense of I'm a finisher, I can get it done. And as we think, so are we. So when we knock hard things out early, then we have a sense of accomplishment and we feel like we can conquer the world. We can take on anything. Let me know how this is tracking for you. Now, when I talk about the to-do list, I have to also talk about the not to-do list. There are things that you do throughout a day that you may say, I'm not going to do that. Like for me, once I get to my office, I'm going to knock out my priority list first. Thank you, Antoinette. The priority list really works. Antoinette is a new client of mine. You guys are going to see her testimony come out of the power she got and the breakthrough she got in one 90-minute clarity call. People are like, oh my goodness, Brenda, you want me to spend, 3 figures on one phone call or one Zoom call for a coaching session? Let me tell you, Antoinette and many others have gotten massive breakthrough off of one clarity coaching call for 90 minutes. And if you're interested in a clarity coaching call, just shoot right on over to my website and schedule one right now. You can go to breakthroughforlife.com, schedule a discovery call with me right now, and then we can outline what your custom coaching journey is going to look like and get you scheduled for a clarity call that will blow your socks off. I promise you, it will blow your socks off. Or I will coach you for free until it does. At the end of the day, I've never had to give away the free coaching. So I never got a chance to say hello to the winners. Hey, thank you guys for joining. I'd like to get right in and start giving you some slivers from the steak right away. But I just thank you guys for being here. I know there's a lot that you can do on a Tuesday night. So thank you for either joining me now live or joining me on the replay. And so we always want to celebrate when you show up for you. So now let's get into the triggers. So I gave you some tools on how you can overcome the trigger of an overwhelmed schedule. When you have a place for everything and everything in its place, then it gives your brain a place to relax. Like, for example, Sundays are my rest day and my socializing day. And so Sunday, my son had plans, one of his friends is getting married, and that's usually my quality time with him until about 3:00. That's when he goes off, and he's a part of a couple of worship teams. And so he goes off to work with the worship teams and the young adults at the different churches he's affiliated with. And so I went to the park and I relaxed. I got me some fresh vitamin D. I got a time to read a book. I got some time to relax. I got some time to engage with a multitude of different nationalities. I'm from Los Angeles, so I don't believe there's just black and white. I embrace all nationalities. If God loves diversity, so do I. And so I got a chance to relax and recharge my battery, do what I want to do, right? Then on Mondays is my second day off. I get my yard done. I get my groceries done. I get all the chores out of the way. What's going to make my week run like a Swiss watch? That's what I'm going to do on those days. And so when you begin to put everything in its place and a place for everything, you begin to relax because you know, hey, mopping the floor needs to be mopped. It's Saturday. I know on Monday, I'm going to knock that out. So you don't have to keep being badgered by your internal patting you on the back of the head. Hey, you got to do this. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do this. Dump it out on a piece of paper so that you can run after it when it's the time to do so. Tuesday through Saturday, I work. I don't plan many social events unless it's business related during Tuesday through Saturday because I work 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. By the time I get off, I'm gone home. What schedule works for you? What is the rhythm that works best for you? That's what you want to determine. When you look at everything that's on your plate, how can you categorize certain things to certain places on your plate? And when you're able to do that, then you're able to give yourself some freedom so that you can thrive and have balance. Now, the next thing, and I love talking about this particular topic because this particular topic is about perfectionism. Perfectionism is another cause of overwhelm. Perfectionism. And when we are operating in perfectionism, then we are creating a scenario where overwhelm thrives. And we don't want to be perfectionists. We want to operate in excellence. So this is the number one thing I tell people when you struggle with perfectionism. We want to make progress, not perfection. And so in order to overcome perfectionism, we really have to get to the core of why we feel like everything has to be absolutely perfect. Because perfectionism is a taskmaster that's never satisfied. But you know what its godly opposite is? Excellence. You can put forth your best effort. When you look at I've been doing lives for 12 years almost, and you can go back and look at my first lives and you'd be like, oh my goodness, that was different, right? But I did the best I could with the information I had at that time, and I'm okay with that. Sometimes people, as Lisa Nichols will say, sometimes people need to see you're perfectly imperfect. Sometimes people need to see you're perfectly imperfect. It does not always have to be. It does not always have to be perfect. Every T dotted, every T crossed and every I dotted. If you operate just strictly on perfection, you are going to hinder your progress. Also, your preferences will also hinder your progress. And you will have a preference that, oh, I can only do it this way. I can only do it that way. Let me tell you what. Sometimes you need to come up out of your preferences. Can I give you guys a personal story from my personal life as we segue over to Nicole Gray saying, I love breaking out my to-do list and then priority list. Yes, I promise you, try that tip. If it works for you, come back and let me know, Nicole, because I want to give you tips and tools that are going to help you win, not just a bunch of information to just spoil around in your head. So now let me give you a story from my life. If you watch any of my lives, very rarely do you see me at this time of year with no artificial nails on. Usually I will have some type of nails on my hand, right? And I decided this year I wasn't doing it until I reach a certain goal. There's a particular goal that I'm going after, and I'm not going to get artificial nails put on until I reach the goal. So every time I look at my hands, and I've been getting my nails done for 40 years, since I was 13 years old. I have been getting acrylic nails on. I used to do them myself when my mom wouldn't pay for them. And we're talking about our preferences, right? And so when we are stuck in our preferences, we are stuck in our comfort zones. And so I took my nails off this year. And I said that I wasn't going to get the nails done. And let me tell you, I'm actually learning that my real nails, now with my new diet, eating healthier, making sure my vitamins are in a line, making sure I'm getting the right minerals in my body, my nails are strong enough. I don't need S&S nails. I don't need acrylic nails. Now, my preference was to have nails, because I think women should have pretty hands and pretty feet, and they should smell good. Those are my three things for women. Smell good. Your hair can be in a ponytail. I ain't messed up. Some days it's just them days. But your nails need to be nice, your feet need to be pretty, and you need to smell good as a woman. That's my personal preference, right? And so, but taking my nails off, getting out of my comfort zone, getting out of my preference, I got to learn that, man, I can just polish my real nails. And guess what? I am one of those people who I'm always looking to save some money. That saves me $100, well, $200 a month doing my own nails. Preferences. Now I can take that $200 and put it on a Facebook ad campaign so I can get my life coaching academy full. You see how that change in preference created progress? Sometimes we have to change our preferences so that we can get progress. Let me give you another one that's going to mess with folks. This one really going to mess with folks. A lot of you guys are anti-AI. Why do you resist technology? Why are you resisting technology? Let technology help you do your job better, help you write better content for your websites, help you. I mean, one night I just have made a plan that each day I'm going to go in and I'm going to rewrite a different section of my website so that my website can be up to date and up to par, right? And it's so easy to do when you have AI. Now, let me tell you, AI is not, I don't use AI as a blank sheet. I give AI what I want it to say, and I ask it to massage it with my taglines and the history it has on my businesses, right? And that helps me move faster. The preference to not embrace technology is hindering progress, beloved. You are now competing with people who are embracing AI, embracing technology. Embrace it. Yes, does it have its downfalls? What doesn't? Cursive has its downfalls, but we, all of us who can write in cursive, that's our new Morse code, because these kids these days can't read it. And so we're going to be able to trade secrets by writing in cursive. Okay, I'm just joking around, y'all. But everything has a downside. Every good has a bad side, right? So don't get caught on the bad and miss the good. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Is this helping anybody? I want you to challenge one of your preferences this week. Challenge a preference that you have and say, you know what, I'm going to do this different. I'm going to go a different way home. I'm going to go do a different Kroger store. Let me tell you, single men love to shop at Kroger. So if you single, go to a different Kroger store. Go to a Kroger store that's not in the suburbs, right? Go over to a Kroger store that's over in a bunch of apartment complexes. You never know. You may meet your husband on aisle 22 while you're looking at the cotton candy. That's just a side note for all the single girls out there. You know, we gotta stay tight, stay bonded, right? So, with that being said, perfectionism and preferences. We want to get rid of perfectionism because perfectionism triggers overwhelm. Poor boundaries. Poor boundaries, the inability to say no will create overwhelm. It is a trigger to overwhelm. You've said yes to too many things and you didn't count the cost. You didn't take a look at what was already on your schedule. You didn't take a look that every time this year it gets really busy at work and you forgot about that and you overcommitted yourself. Now you're stressed out. You need to count the cost of every yes. What is this yes going to cost me in time, in energy, creativity, resources, money? What is the yes going to cost you? And if you're willing to pay the price of the yes, make sure you understand that when you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. And is that okay? Because all of us only have 24 hours in a day. That's it. 8 hours we work, 8 hours we sleep, 8 hours we do life. And if we're doing a side hustle, that 8 hours of doing life gets cut in half, and we need to spend at least 4 hours a day working on our side hustles, right? So I hope that you're looking at your boundaries. When you look at triggers, a lack of clarity is also a trigger. When you really don't know how to do what you want to do, then you are going to struggle. You are going to struggle. Don't let how impede what. Get clear on what you want and then ask God for the strategy on how. And sometimes he's going to bring people into your life to help you with the how. One of the people God brought in my life recently is a gentleman named Courtney. Him and his wife have been embedded in my social circle for a long time. And he was one of my instructors when I got my business certification. And Courtney, me and him had one 3-hour conversation that totally changed the game for my business, helped me get crystal clear focus. Sometimes we need to gain clarity from outside perspectives. Sometimes we are siloed in our industry and we don't realize that if we took a look at something outside of our industry, it may give us a unique answer to a problem that's in our industry. We need to broaden, open our minds, broaden our horizons. Look at things that you're like, I don't understand what that's really about, but God's had it cross my path. Maybe it's going to give me some clarity that I can't get in the silo that I'm in. Okay. So when you begin to look at how you can move forward and crush overwhelm, make sure you're doing your time management. How long is it going to take you to do a project? Don't take on too many responsibilities, right? Learn how to delegate well. And well, Brenda, I don't have anybody to delegate to. Then get some people to delegate to. If you're a small business owner, Fiverr and Upwork are ideal places for you to get people who can delegate and do small, short projects for you. If you are a leader in your job, use AI to help you with strategies on your job. Let go of the perfectionism, embrace the excellence. And one of the great ways that you can learn to embrace excellence is do a Bible study on excellence versus perfectionism. And just do a word study on it in scripture and see the difference between the two. One operates in perfectionism, is never satisfied. Excellence can be reached when you put forth your best effort based on what you know at the time that you're doing the project. Okay. Now, that's where we talked about your triggers. We talked about some tools with triggers. And one of the things that I really want to talk to you guys about today is how triggers, how you can really take a serious look at how you approach each and every decision you make. One of the things that will hamper your ability to make decisions is how overwhelmed you feel at the time you're making a decision. When you feel really overwhelmed, you're going to make quick decisions based on what you know at the moment, right? But this can be distorted by overwhelm. Reacting instead of planning can be a sabotage for balance. When you're just reacting, sometimes you have to say, you know what? Can I give you an answer on that tomorrow? To give yourself space. Nobody's hair is going to catch on fire. Give yourself space so you can move through the distortion of overwhelm so you can get the clarity that is needed in calm and peace for you to make an informed decision. Okay? We want to make informed decisions. We don't want to react to things. We want to respond to things. I hope you guys can let me know if you can still hear me. I just hit my earbuds and I don't want you guys not to be able to hear me well. One of the things is avoiding tasks that seem to be too big for your calendar at the time. I'm going to give a shout out to a lady who told me no, Tammy Moore. I'm trying to get her into my academy. And she said, no, I can't get into the academy right now, my life coaching certification academy. She said, not right now, because I'm going through getting my ministry license. She took account of what she already had on her schedule before she committed to doing something else. That's effective decision making. Sometimes you do have to say no to good things so you can say yes to great things. You don't want overwhelm to distort your decision making. This leads to poor boundaries, missed priorities, and imbalance between work and life. Okay. The other thing is overwhelm will hijack your time. It hijacks your time because you spend a lot more time going in between, switching gears in between multiple projects. So let's talk about this for a moment. We do not multitask. We only monotask really fast, and that creates decision fatigue. When you are constantly doing this with your brain, I'm doing this project and then I get interrupted by this and I have no focus and no concentration, you get less work done, you're working less efficiently. And here we come into one of the tools that I wanted to share with you guys is a tool called Focus. It's all about, well, not focus. It's a cool, I'm trying to find my note on it. There it is. Okay. Well, no, it's not. Here it is. Okay, I found it. So this tool is called the zooming technique to increase intense focus. So when we look at focus, we need to get to a place where we find some time in our busy schedules where we can etch out a 90-minute to a 3-hour deep work. And I call this zooming technique for intense focus. This is where we get rid of the distractions, we clean off our desk, we said that we are going to work on one singular project and touch every element of it that we need to touch during that 90-minute to 3-hour period of time. And we get into a relaxed state. We are going to do 10 deep breaths from the gut. And we're going to get into a relaxed state so that we can focus and we can concentrate and we can zoom in for intense focus. Because whenever we get intense focus, we're going to get heightened creativity. We're going to have heightened problem solving ability. We're going to have better critical thinking when we get focused. Remember when we used to do concentration games as young kids? Sometimes we need to do concentration games as adults so that we can zoom in and get crystal clear focus on a particular area so that we can get something done from A to Z. I like to say getting it done from the rooter to the tutor, okay? And so when we are looking at crushing overwhelm, that means that we have to find time where we get rid of the things that siphon our time. Do you know what siphons your time? You know, you go to your phone to look up something and then you see a funny video and then it's 30 minutes later before you get back to what you were originally planning to do. That siphons your time. Maybe it's interruptions. I like to have everyone who works in leadership set up a focus zone for their staff. That's maybe an hour to 90 minutes of their day where there's no meetings, where it's a focus zone where no one in the organization is talking to anybody else. You're just laser focused on one big project. That can happen first thing in the morning, or that can happen right after lunch. And I like to set this up for my staff because it gives them a place to breathe. They don't have to worry about meetings being scheduled. They don't have to worry about interruptions. They're not getting pinged on their Microsoft Teams. They are crystal clear focused on one project. You will be amazed at how much more efficient your team will be when they get 90 minutes where they have uninterrupted deep work time. It is a game changer. Okay. And so let me look here. We've talked about time blocking before when we look at really taking control of our schedule. But I want to talk to you about one of the techniques that I love that is near and dear to my heart. And that is the power of no time like the present. Oftentimes when I work with procrastinators say things like, oh, they say things like, oh, I work well under pressure. Well, how do you know that you don't work well when you don't have pressure? Have you ever tried that one before? When you get into the habit of saying, oh, let's do it tomorrow, tomorrow never comes. One of the things that I want to teach you how to do is the habit of starting. So no time like the present. The power of no time like the present is if something pops into your head, I want you to think, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. But I want you to hack that habit. That's a psychological habit. You think of something it's really big, let's say writing your book. And you're like, I really need to outline how to write this book and what I want to put in it, da 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 da. But that's overwhelming, right? And you're like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. What I'm gonna challenge you to do is do the habit of starting. Can someone put that in the chat for me? The habit of starting. The habit of starting. Oh, Antoinette, she's sharing that she has done that and that it really works. The habit of starting. That means that when it pops into your head, what you're going to do is you're going to put it in your master to-do list. At the very least, you're going to write it down in the master to-do list. If you don't have any time to do anything with it at that moment, you're at least going to write it down, and then you're going to schedule when you're actually going to work on it for at least 30 minutes. Now, the habit of starting is 30 minutes. The habit of focus work is 90 minutes. Deep work is typically 4 hours, right? But let's start with baby starts, right? We're going to start with baby starts, right? Okay. The habit of starting. Thank you so much, Nicole. The habit of starting. So you're going to say, when you get ready to say to yourself, oh, I'll do that tomorrow, you're going to stop, hack that, and say, what's one thing I can do with regards to this right now? Maybe it's just putting it in your to-do list or scheduling it on your calendar to do it a later time. Maybe it's, you know what, I really do need to write this book. So let me do what's the first thing I need to do to write this book? Let me just do a punch list of everything that I think needs to be done to write this book. And just sit down and just do the punch list. And then schedule a time where you're going to come back and you're going to work on one item from the punch list. What creates overwhelm is we're looking at the whole big, huge picture when we need to just be looking at the right now. What can I do to move the needle forward right now? The power of no time like the present. When it pops in your head, at least do something to get started with it. And that's called the habit of starting. So now let's go back and recap. We've identified some major triggers, and since I've got a little bit of time, I'm going to go into some more triggers. The role of overwhelm in decision making, it distorts your vision. It distorts your ability to respond. It causes you to react. And we know when we react, especially when we're upset, doesn't always have a good outcome, right? Then crush overwhelm by developing mental muscle habits. One of the mental muscle habits is the Zoom technique for intense focus. That's when you get rid of the distractions, you block out a period of time on your schedule, and you just go in hard for 90 minutes to 3 hours on one project, and you touch everything involved with that project. That will give you such a sense of fulfillment, a sense of progress. You will have creative problem solving and positive critical thinking results that will come out of that time. And then we have the power of no time like the present. Getting in the habit of just going after it, doing something to move the needle forward. So let me see what Antoinette has to say here. Antoinette, I cannot express how much scheduling on a calendar has reduced stress and raised my productivity. Let me tell you, I'm going to share a little bit about this about Antoinette. When Antoinette came to me, she didn't do to-do lists. She didn't do priority lists. She didn't schedule anything. She just kind of was rolling with the punches, right? Now she's only had 4 coaching sessions with me. And these are the comments that she's leaving in the chat, okay? I've been doing that and it works. It is amazing that when you get the right tools in your arsenal, how it can change your life. Everyone who's listening to the replay, I want you to write this down. I really want you to write this down. Breakthrough doesn't take all day. Breakthrough does not take all day. Breakthrough takes as long as it takes for you to make a decision to take action and move. Okay? When you look at goal achievement, goal achievement is a 3-fold cord of grit, tenacity, and resilience. You're going to have to get gritty with your goal. You're going to have to press through hard for your goals. You're going to have to be tenacious with it. You're going to have to stick with your goal until it produces a fruit. And you're going to have to be resilient, because the enemy is not trying to let you walk into the promised land with no opposition. You're going to have to fight some battles to walk into your promised land. And so I really encourage each and every one of you to really look at your life and say, where do I need to get gritty and tenacious and resilient with my goals? Because that's how goal achievement comes about. Now, I did a whole series. There's a whole playlist on goal achievement that you can go to at my YouTube channel at Coach BU, and the YouTube channel is called Breakthrough with Brenda. And you can get a bunch of tools on goal achievement and on how to launch your side hustle. So let's talk about morning routines. I'm going to tell you guys with all honesty, one of the best ways to create a winning life is to create a winning morning routine. The first 20 minutes when you wake up, the subconscious mind is most impressionable. And in that first 20 minutes, you want to set the pace for your day. Set the intention of what emotion do you want to feel today? One of my emotions lately is happy. I want to feel happy every day. I am a person who have suffered from depression in my life over the years, really heavy the first 26 years of my life. Now I have the tools to manage it a lot better without medication or any of that stuff. But one of the things that helps me manage my I like to call it melancholy moments, which I don't struggle with it nowhere near as bad as I used to. These past 26 years have been much better than the first 26 years when I tried to commit suicide 3 different times. I was in a straitjacket 3 different times to prevent me from hurting others and hurting myself. And that was up until the age of 26. At 26, I had my son and I said, I've got to live different. He didn't ask to be born into this life, so I've got to create a different life for him. And one of the things that I started to do was really get serious about my morning routine. What do I do when I wake up first thing in the morning? That first 20 minutes, if you can own the first 20 minutes of your morning, you can begin to reshape your subconscious mindset. And let me tell you another tool that has been so phenomenal for me. I'm talking about recent stuff can I tell you some now tools that are working for me? I ask the Holy Spirit almost every single morning, scrub through my subconscious and take out every single thing that is a limiting belief, every single trauma where I have assessed a limiting belief. I ask you, Holy Spirit, to scrape my subconscious mind and remove all limiting belief from my subconscious so that I can walk in the promises of God for my life. I set the intention to be happy every day. I set the intention that I am the head and not the tail, above and not beneath. I am blessed in my coming and I am blessed in my going. I am a lender and not a borrower. Those are things that I constantly say to myself first 20 minutes of the morning, because the subconscious mind is most impressionable the first 20 minutes of the morning. This is also the time where you want to get your body up and get it moving. Show up for you. Get your shake. If you do and this isn't a protein shake, this is a vitamin shake. It has 52 superfoods in it. And I use raw meal and I put some blueberries in it, some bananas, some chia seed, and what else? Oh, and some raw meal, a scoop of raw meal in it, and it gives me my vitamins for the day. So I show up for Brenda first so that I can show up for everyone else better. In order to live a selfless life, you're going to have some self-love time. Can somebody write that in the chat? In order to live a selfless life, you're going to need to have some self-love time. Fill up your tank. Show up for you. Get physical in the morning. It helps with the endorphins that go to your brain. It helps reduce the cortisol in your stomach. It helps you to take control of your day. If you can win the first 20 minutes of your day, we call it the winning morning. Really, it's the first hour. But if you're just starting to take control of your morning, start with 20 minutes and work up to controlling the first hour of your day. When you can control the first hour of your day, then your day's going to flow better. And when you control your days, then you can control your weeks. And when you have a winning week, then you start having winning months. And when you have a winning month, then you start having a winning quarter and a winning year. And then you have what Breakthrough for Life loves to call a winning life. And so, yes, Nicole, fill your cup up first. Maybe that means you got to get up an hour early. Maybe that means you got to get up 30 minutes early. Or if you're like me, I just changed my work schedule. I ain't getting up any earlier, but I'm not going to see clients until I've already done my spiritual work, right? Because I give out every day in abundance. So I need to be filled up so that I'm not depleted, right? And so I want to give you guys some common tools for taming overwhelm. And we've talked about a few of these, but since I wrote them in my notes, let me make sure I cover them all. One of the common tools to tame overwhelm is the brain dump. I like to call it the data dump. Get it out your head and onto paper. Everything you're thinking about, worried about, or trying to remember. These things on a piece of paper will help you gain crystal clear clarity. So let me give you a tip. The things you're worried about. My clients love this tip. Let me tell you what Antoinette is saying over here. Antoinette, breakthrough does not take all day. It takes as long as it takes to make a decision. Thank you for typing that in. I hope that you guys can see that, because we often think breakthrough takes 3 months, 6 months, 3 years. It don't. Breakthrough don't take all day. Breakthrough takes as long as it takes for you to make a decision. What is the longest healing in the Bible? Every single healing, once they encountered Jesus, happened instantaneously. The longest healing in the Bible are the lepers who were healed as they walked. So you can get a breakthrough in an instant. So let me share some things with you guys. On common ways to tame overwhelm. So the data dump, get it out your head, get it onto paper. So there's things you're worried about. I'm going to give you a breakthrough tool that I give to my paid clients, and it's called LTP. L is for the lie, T is for the truth, and P is for the proof of the truth, right? And so this is a tool that helps you immediately chop the head off of any limiting beliefs and lies that you are believing. So make a list of all the stuff that you're worried about, all of it. And then I want you to think to yourself, what is the positive outcome you want to achieve from those things? If your son is in jail, what's the positive outcome you want him to get from this short stint in jail? And this comes specifically, a lady hired me for 10 weeks because her son got put in jail. She hired me to help her with the overwhelm of what she was feeling with regards to her son going to jail. And I worked with her for 10 weeks to help navigate her through that so that she can be more of an empowerer and less of an enabler. And we had a great journey with that. And I need to get her testimony out on my website. But I had her LTP, her worries. So we often worry about things that will never take place. So we're literally worrying today about something that may or may not happen tomorrow, which steals our peace from today. So LTP says you take your worry list, you take one thing off of your worry list. One of my big ones is that I've yet to marry. And so one of the things that used to torment me until I finally broke free from this was, will I ever get married? Will I ever find someone that I want to go down the aisle with? And people would tell me, Brenda, your standards are too high and you want too much and you can't no man ever make you happy. And I would hear that from people who I didn't even date, just people who would watch me online, and they would say these things to me. And I started to get this belief that I wasn't worthy of marriage. I was not adequate for marriage. My standards were too high for marriage. There wasn't a man who could raise to the occasion of being intellectually compatible with me. I didn't have to dummy down and just talk about sports and politics all the time, And so I started to believe a lie that I wasn't worthy of marriage and that I was not capable of winning a husband, right? And that lie tormented me one weekend. And then God said, are you done? Can we LTP this now that you spent 72 hours walking around your house saying Jesus is Lord, vacuuming your floor. Your floors are so clean because I vacuum when I'm stressed, right? And so I said, okay, God, let's LTP. He said, the lie is you're never going to get married. The truth is you have not only been proposed to 6 times, you accepted 4 engagement rings, right? So there are men out there who do want to marry you. So let's get rid of that you're not worthy thing. Second truth is you are dating a man now who intellectually matches you, who intellectually spars with you, who intellectually causes you to rise. Now, I don't know if this man is my husband or not. We don't even go there in our conversations, but he is hope that there is a man out there who can talk about more than politics and sports. Because most of the men I deal with, that's all they want to talk about, politics and sports. Well, can you talk to me about some spiritual things? Can you talk to me about some things on some on another level? Can you talk to me about some growth and some thriving? Can you introduce some new ideas to me? Can you lead me in a different path with regards to growth? I'm an intellectual being. I need a man who can intellectually spar with me. That's exciting for me. And so God was like, okay, so you have dated men who can spar with you. So get rid of that lie. So the lie is you're never going to get married. The truth is 6 men have proposed, 4 of them you have accepted engagement rings for. And the proof of it are those engagement rings. So when you LTP a worry or something that's making you feel inadequate, then you automatically chop the head off of that snake. Now, I have come to the place where I am simply embracing my singleness. So when you see me with the little dancing girl in the red dress, I'm embracing my singleness. I ain't got nobody to report to. Ain't nobody asking me where I've been, where I'm going, when I'm coming back. So I am learning how to embrace this season of singleness for all it's worth. If I want to book a trip to Italy for the month of December, guess what? I ain't got to check with no husband. I ain't got to check with nobody else to see if I got the money. I just need to check with Jesus and see if my son wants to go or not. I'm going. He can decide if he wants to go or not. I have freedom that married women don't have. Now, I'm not knocking married life. I'm saying I'm embracing single life for what it has, because that's where I'm at. When I get frustrated with being single, I start becoming very cankerous. I start becoming very agitated and unhappy. And remember, I set the intention that I'm going to be happy every day. And so that means I have to embrace every season I'm in my life, whether it's a season of much or it's a season of little. It's a season of what I want or it's a season of what I don't want. I need to embrace it because evidently God is saying there's something I want you to learn in this season. So when we learn to embrace the seasons of our lives, then we learn to create a happiness in our progress. So I took LTP and I literally lie, truth, proofed every single worry in my life. And guess what? I didn't have much to be worried about. And the overwhelm, the pressure of always being out, always looking at on 10 every time I'm out and about. I never know when I'm going to bump into my possible mate. All of that pressure is gone. That's why sometimes you'll see me do a car live and you see all my gray hair and my natural hair, and I love my natural hair. But natural hair, if you are the curly girl group, you know natural hair is work. Throwing on a wig is like a baseball cap. Honey, I can walk out the door in 5 minutes flat and look fabulous. Or I can spend 35 minutes and do my natural hair and look fabulous too. Sometimes I ain't got the 35 minutes, okay? So with that being said, I want to give you guys tools that you can use that are going to bring breakthrough. LTP is a breakthrough tool. It is no joke. It will change your entire worry list, right? So, and if you couple the LTP with put your worry to work by taking that worry list after you LTP it, then turning around and saying, what's the positive outcome I want from each and every one of those, and make those objects of prayer, I'm telling you, it's going to change your world. You are going to start to heal. You are going to start to grow, and you're going to start thriving. And you're going to look back and say something as simple as cutting off the lie, getting to the truth, and having a proof of the truth. The proof of the truth helps you not to justify stinking thinking, because sometimes we lie to ourselves. That's another lie for another day. And since we're at 59 minutes, I'm going to bring this to a close. And like I said, we are going to come back next week with part 2 of Crushing Overwhelm. Today, we really talked about the triggers. I gave you some tools to deal with what triggers overwhelm. But next week, we're going to come in and we are going to talk about some serious stuff like micro move planning. We are going to talk about the task triage calls. We are going to talk about the inner committee of visualization. We're also going to talk about the I am enough declaration. We are going to start to talk to our internal so that we can start to thrive in our external. Amen. So I just want to make sure I cover. Oh, okay. Hold on. Since I'm talking about triggers, we're going to go a little bit over. So I want to finish going through. There are 5 external triggers that I want to cover with you. We already talked about too many commitments, unrealistic deadlines. We talked about constant interruptions. We talked about going into the focus zone, right? And then a lack of support. I didn't really talk about a lack of support a lot, and environmental chaos. So a lack of support, you need to pray into your world the team that is going to help you thrive. Success is a team sport. So you need to have people in your world that are going to feed you in different ways so that when you are beginning to feel overwhelmed, you know who to call to help talk you off the cliff. When I have money troubles, like God is saying, I want you to go and get an office space in Sugarloaf. And I'm like, God, do you know how much the rent is in Sugarloaf? Why do I need an office space? I can work from home right here in the house where I already pay a mortgage. And you want me to go get some more office space, go spend some more money? And God's like, yes. You know who I called? My girl, Kim. I'm sitting in the parking lot over at the Gwinnett Chamber of Commerce, getting ready to go in and pay them so I can do a ribbon cutting for this space that God told me to get, that I was like, God, I can't afford that. I'm counting the cost and the cost ain't in there. Another mortgage is not in my budget. And God said, do it anyway, because you're operating on my budget. If it's my vision, it's my provision. So who do I call? Because I needed support, I call my girl, Kim. I'm crying in the parking lot saying, I'm scared to death. I do not want to be the little brown girl that has to go to a leasing office and say, I can't pay my mortgage or I can't pay the lease this month. I don't want to be that girl. But I'm scared because I don't know if I'm going to be able to pay my mortgage and another mortgage for me to have a brick and mortar location. She said, Brenda, I've known you for years, for 20 plus years. And God he ain't never not supplied your needs. And I needed her to remind me of how many times God has showed up, how many times God paid that tuition over at Greater Atlanta Christian Schools. Sometimes the tool we need is to go encourage ourselves on how God has showed up for us in our past. How many times do we need to go back and say, if God gave me the tools I needed to take care of those problems in the past, and God's not going to change. He is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. If he's ever paid a phone bill for you, if he's ever paid a light bill for you, if he's ever miraculously taken care of a financial medical situation for you, then he ain't changed. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Sometimes we need to go encourage ourselves in the Lord. And sometimes we need some friends who have gone through the fire with us to remind us when we forget. And Kim and Gail and a couple of my male friends, who I will not say their names, male friends, they are my encouragers. They help keep me on track when I get off track. So you need to have support. A lack of support is an external trigger for overwhelm. And then environmental chaos. A cluttered or disorganized physical space can create mental stress. Y'all, look, don't argue with me on this. There is too much case study out there that says when you organize your space, then you mentally get organized. But it also is case study out there that says when your space is unorganized, it's because inside you have chaos. So which comes first, the mental chaos or the external chaos? Read the case studies and you come to your own conclusion. But this is what I will tell you. When I feel overwhelmed on the inside, I look at the space I'm at and I get organized. The more you have to do, the more organized you need to be. If you want work-life balance from the bedroom to the boardroom, you need to get organized. Well, Brenda, I've never been organized. Don't let your how sabotage your what. Between the Holy Spirit and Google and ChatGPT, what can you not figure out? Just go to ChatGPT and say, this is how I usually operate, and this is what I'd like to operate in. How can I get organized? And let ChatGPT, let Google give you some ideas, and then you go pray about which one you're going to actually implement so that you can keep your word to you. Remember, building self-confidence starts first with self-trust, and that means letting your no be no and your yes be yes to you. That's how you build self-trust. And self-trust is built on self-worth. When you feel like you're worth showing up for, then you'll keep your word to you. Then you will have the self-confidence you need to courageously go after all that God has called you to do. So we're talking about crushing overwhelm. The 5 external triggers are too many commitments, unrealistic deadlines, consistent interruptions, lack of support, and environmental chaos. Clean up your space, get organized, take a half a day or hire a maid or get a girlfriend to come over with you and clean out those closets, clean out the drawers, get your office organized. Let me tell you, I am going to show you my office, and this is going to be unorthodox for a live, and so I'm a nonconformist, just roll with me. But if you look, my office is clean. There's not a whole lot of stuff all over the place. Everything is organized and everything is in its place. Why? Because on a dime, I could get a prospect that calls me and says, hey, Brenda, I need to know if you can do da 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 for me. And I need to be able to stop and accept that interruption and help somebody. Sometimes I have done a discovery call on a phone call. They'll call me. I say, hey, can you hop on Zoom real quick? Let's go ahead and do the discovery call and get them moving forward, right? Organization is key to progress. The more you have to do, the more organized you need to be. The internal triggers are perfectionism, which we talked about, a fear of failure, decision fatigue, which we talked about, negative self-talk, unclear priorities. We've talked about priorities backwards and forwards, but these are internal triggers for overwhelm. Now, combination triggers are unaligned goals. When what you're doing doesn't align with your purpose or values, it creates an internal conflict. Burnout, extended periods of time where you are stressed out without adequate rest or recovery. People tell me all the time, Brenda, you work so hard, you work so hard. Trust me, Sunday and Monday, try to get a hold of me. There's only about 3 people who can get a hold of me. My son, that's because he lives in my house. My male friend, that's because his time is sparse. And so whenever we can get a moment to chat or a moment to be together, I'm going to make time for it because he's got a whole lot going on in his world. And then my girlfriend, Kim, she can usually get in. My girlfriend, Gail, and my girlfriend, Lasagna. Those are my 3 prayer partners. And so all 3 of them, they can usually get in and get a hold of me on a Sunday or Monday. Everybody else, they're going to get my voicemail and I'm going to call you back on Tuesday. Why? Because they know how to respect my boundaries, that these are my days off. They don't come to me with a whole lot of problems or dramas on those days. On Tuesday, they be like, girl, you will not believe what my child just did. Girl, you will not believe what happened to my car. But on Sunday and Monday, they calling me with joy, with Jesus, and with fun. Okay. So when you begin to look at your recovery time helps you get away from the burnout. Now, let me tell you, I have a friend of mine that occasionally will talk on Monday. And this past Monday, he asked me, he said, well, what you got planned to do for this week? You got a heavy week ahead? And I told him, I said, in all honesty, I ain't even thought about what my work week looked like because I can't be thinking about my work week on my day off and be off mentally. Sometimes we need to take a mental break from work. I make sure on Saturday, everything that needs to be done got done, so that on Sunday and Monday, I can break away and know that the building is not going to fall apart. Because I need to reduce. I was about to burn out in 2023. 2023, 2024, I was burning out. I mean, I was talking to one of my business mentors, like, you got a job for me because I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm burning out. And that's because I wasn't mentally breaking from my work. I wasn't taking a mental break. I was thinking about, I got to get this done. I got to get that done. You need to take mental breaks from your work. You can't go on vacation and take your work laptop with you. You can, because it's going to create burnout. And in a burnout state, you're going to get less done than you would ever get done if you were in a focused state, in a concentrated state. Okay. And then another combination trigger is uncertainty or lack of control. Situations where outcomes feel unpredictable or out of hand. This is where we're going to leave you. Now, I have covered all of the triggers that I had wrote out. As you guys can see, I wrote out a lot. All of these triggers, the last one of uncertainty and a lack of control, if you struggle with a fear of the unknown, that is a lack of trust in God. And I'm not judging. I too have dealt with the fear of the unknown. Control freak was put in the dictionary in 1971, the year I was born. Maybe my picture is next to that. I've worked hard to give people the freedom to operate in their own free will. I've worked hard not to operate in an obligation with people. But I'm going to tell you that where there's uncertainty, you need to learn how to trust the God who holds tomorrow. Learn how to live in your present, beloved. Learn how to look at the things that are worrying you and say, what's within my control? Then let me handle what's in my control. And let me tell you what's not in your control: the weather and other people. So if you're going to do an outside event, plan for some canopies just in case. They told you it was going to be a sunny day in Georgia and it ended up being a thunderstorm, because that's very well could happen. We can go through all 4 seasons in one stinking day. It can be winter in the morning, fall come afternoon, spring come spring come the evening time, and it can be fall come nighttime. We can go through all 4 seasons. You can't control the weather and you can't control other people. You can pray about their heart, because God does say he holds the king's heart in his hands. That means that God's only going to do what aligns with his will. But when you pray, you're praying for God's will to be done in another person's life. You're praying in agreement with God, right? And you're not praying in manipulation of man. There's a big difference, right? And so if you're struggling with uncertainty, you're not sure, what did God tell you to do last? Do the last thing God told you to do and move forward, knowing that God knows how to order the steps of the righteous. If you pray to keep in step with the Holy Spirit, he knows how to keep you in step with him. So when you're looking at crushing overwhelm has to do with a level of uncertainty. You feel like, I've got more to do than I can get done in a day. I got more to do than I know how to do. Okay? Don't let what you don't know keep you from implementing what you do know. Can someone put that in the chat for me? Don't let what you don't know keep you from implementing what you do know. Because at the end of the day, beloved, only God controls tomorrow. And if you are a child of the Most High God, if you worship the creator of the universe, then he is sovereign despite our free will. And he knows how to create certainty out of uncertainty. And that means that we need to build a trust relationship with him. How do you build a trust relationship with God? First and foremost, go and study the Old Testament names of God. When you go and study the Old Testament names of God, you learn the character of God. And when you learn the character of God, then you learn how to trust him. Because when he is in it, success is there. So let God be a part of your plans. A very good scripture for you to read if you're looking at building trust with God is go read Proverbs chapter 16. Proverbs chapter 16 will be a huge help in helping you submit your plans into the Lord so that he can create a success with them. And Antoinette puts in here, where did my glasses go? Antoinette puts in here, don't let what you don't know keep you from implementing what you do know. Thank you so much, Antoinette. And this is so important. And I'm going to leave you guys here with this. Make sure that you're using all the resources that technology has to offer you, and make sure you're tapping into the all-knowing God who wants you to live a vibrant life, walking in the promises of God for your life. So it's been an hour and a half steak dinner on crushing overwhelm. I would like for you guys to put in the chat, what was the tool that you liked the most? What was the tool that was brand new for you? What did you like? How did this help you? I am so excited to come to you every single Tuesday night and give you a steak dinner. And we may be taking a small break, but we will be here next Tuesday to give you a steak dinner on work-life balance and overwhelm part 2. But after that, we're going to be launching the Breakthrough for Life podcast. And so there's going to be one Tuesday a month where my podcast will go live at 7:30 on Tuesdays. And you can see me literally coaching someone in a recorded coaching session. And you can see what coaching looks like. I specialize in one-on-one coaching, custom coaching. It is designed to help you get a breakthrough for life and not just a band-aid for now. And so I hope that you will subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining. I pray that you guys will go schedule a discovery call so that I can help you gain clarity, crush barriers, and put together a strategic plan to take your career to the next level, your business to the next level, or for you to craft your winning life. And we believe that women can have it all, from the bedroom to the boardroom. And I am Coach BU, your breakthrough strategist, here to help you win at life personally and professionally. So I hope to see you next Tuesday at 7:30, Coach BU.